Tuesday, the 23rd of June 2026. It's great to have you, and we trust that you will stay with us until our closing time at 10 o'clock. We're hoping to be joined later by Member Harry and Member Scratchy, along with Astute Youth. But let's jump over to the United Kingdom and say good evening to our producer for today, Caroline. Hi, Caroline. How are you doing?
Hi, Neighbour. I'm good. How are you?
How are you enjoying your trip to the UK so far?
Very well. Very, very well. Having a great time.
Yeah, I'm fascinated.
Just
I'm
a time difference.
Yeah. What time is it now in the UK?
It's 1:02 a.m.
1:02 a.m. You mean midnight has passed? So what are you doing up at midnight?
Yes.
What are you doing now?
Waiting for you.
Oh my goodness! I feel absolutely flabbergasted by you saying that. So what is it like there in the UK?
In terms of what, Neighbour?
In terms of just things life there, how different it is from here back home.
Well, it's much cooler, I must say, and one of the things that I'm quite impressed about,
yes,
is the fact that winter has just ended, but everything is just so lush and green and beautiful. It is as if there was no winter. And I keep asking them, so where was winter? Didn't you lose all the leaves from the trees and everything? Everything just looks so nice, very clean, and busy.
Busy.
Yes, very busy.
Okay. Go ahead.
It's unless you go to like Times Square where you see a large number of people gathered in one place.
Yes.
Here, Neighbour, everybody's on their cell phones. I've never seen so many people talking at the same time on their phones.
Literally speaking.
Yes, who's not talking? They're texting, but everyone just always seems to be on their phones.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure that I've never been to the UK. Enjoy yourself, and what are you taking back for us? Come in.
Some tea.
Yes, yes. It is a country of tea. I agree with you. Yeah, lovely tea. So you have tea there now? You're having your tea?
Every single day I'm having tea.
Well, that's great. That's great. Wonderful. Everybody's been asking for you. I keep telling them, God know it. You're right here. Eh?
I'm always there, Neighbour.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Take care. Later.
Of course. Listeners, please tap the screen, repost, share, comment, send the heart knees, and for those on YouTube, please subscribe and like, and for those on X, please repost the live stream over there. Thanks so much. Have a great show, Neighbour.
Thank you so much. Now, why is Dr. Holness still uncertified? Why? I'm going to give you a little history. In 2022, the Integrity Commission tabled a report in Parliament on the issuance of firearm license. That report covered the period between 2012 and 2018. The report suggested that former National Security Minister Well, it actually spoke about ministers, including Peter Bunting, had approved firearm licenses for individuals described as being of questionable character. So the Integrity Commission sent a report to Parliament claiming that Peter Bunting approved firearm license for people of questionable character. Mr. Bunting rejected the findings. Peter Bunting rejected the findings. And he argued that in the case involving him, Peter Bunting, he had acted on the recommendations of the statutory review, and his explanation had been omitted from the report. Bunting publicly challenged the findings of the IC. May I say that? Publicly challenged the findings. Mr. Bunting at the time made representation to the Integrity Commission and criticized Peter Bunting, criticized the commission for not fully reflecting his explanation in the report. There was no call within the PMP for Mr. Bunting to resign. Mr. Bunting declined to sign the commission's parliamentary leadership code until the matter was corrected. The commission subsequently revisited the Bunting matter, reviewed the evidence and the representation that Peter Bunting made. In June 2023, the Integrity Commission tabled an addendum to its earlier report. The addendum concluded that Peter Bunting had acted in accordance with the recommendations of the review board. The Integrity Commission made a mistake. The commission, therefore, effectively cleared Mr. Bunting of wrongdoing. After tabling a report to the Parliament, and Peter Bunting fiercely took on the IC, the Integrity Commission had to table an addendum and cleared Mr. Bunting. The Integrity Commission has in the past erred. They made a mistake. Paul Llewellyn, former Director of Public Prosecutions, made these observations.
A caution from the Director
about the Integrity Commission recently, well, while she was DPP. Listen to Mrs. Llewellyn.
Of public prosecutions to entities like the Integrity Commission.
One must be wary of making utterances or having this inscrutable silence or operating in a way that may unwittingly give elements of the public the perception that there may be an unconscious bias.
The DPP stressed that unless convicted otherwise, everyone is entitled to their good name.
I really do not like it when I hear persons who should know better, either by Twitter or otherwise, mischaracterizing or unwittingly transmitting false information that can negatively impact people's good name.
There have been ongoing concerns about how the Integrity Commission has handled reports involving Prime Minister Andrew Holness, former National Security Minister Peter Bunting, and others.
Hold on there. Hold on there a little bit. Remember, Peter Bunting challenged the allegations that he approved firearm licenses to people of unquestionable character. Mr. Bunting said he did not do it. And Mr. Bunting was correct. The Integrity Commission made a mistake. All of you out there with your political biases, with your agendas. And let me tell you this. The Integrity Commission does not have a choice at this point but to certify the Prime Minister of Jamaica. It doesn't have a choice. It cannot rule otherwise. It does not have the credibility to do so. Those of you with political agendas, performative narrative settings, you have discredited the IC. The PNP, the People's National Party, is responsible for the discredit of the IC because they have politicized the institution. And at this point in Jamaica, the people of Jamaica no longer have any confidence in the Integrity Commission. None at all. The only people that have confidence in the IC are the PNP. So the Integrity Commission is compromised. And it is let me tell you this. It is unfortunate that the Integrity Commission has allowed itself to be compromised by the PNP. And right now, the Integrity Commission has found themselves in a very embarrassing situation. For those of you who are just joining us, welcome.
Asking everyone to tap, share, repost, and send a heart, please.
Welcome. I am breaking down some things for you tonight and show you why the Prime Minister of Jamaica must be certified. Must. There's no other choice at this point. Follow me. In 2023, the Integrity Commission's addendum concluded that Peter Bunting had acted in accordance with the recommendations of the review board, and in one instance had been even more conservative than the board's recommendation. Why did that happen? Because Peter Bunting fought for his reputation. And if he did not fight for his reputation, history would record that Peter Bunting issued firearm licenses to people of unquestionable character. That was the characterization of the Integrity Commission. Those of you who are calling on Andrew Wheatley to resign, remember the Bunting case. I beg you, remember the Bunting case. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Old time people say, same knife with stick sheep, stick goat. The commission, based on the observer, effectively cleared Mr. Bunting of any wrongdoing, and Mr. Bunting was free. The key conclusion was that the Director of Investigations found that Peter Bunting acted according to the recommendations provided through the statutory process. Why is this important? Because whether individuals named in investigative reports should have their responses fully reflected before adverse findings are published. Mr. Peter Bunting took on the IC and cleared his name. Why should Dr. Wheatley not be afforded the same opportunity? Tell me. If Mr. Peter Bunting could take on the IC and have his name cleared, why should Dr. Andrew Wheatley not be afforded the same privilege? You hypocritical PNP bloggers, some of you are half-wits, because all you can see is that your party stands to benefit. But can I tell you this? And I spent some time today evaluating it. The IC may have handed Holness a fourth term. I'm not going to have the time to break it down and show you why this IC is going to help Mr. Holness win a fourth consecutive term, because an injustice has been done to the Prime Minister, and a profound act of injustice is being done to the Jamaican Prime Minister by the process. And the FID has pointed it out. It's 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. It's 20 minutes after 7 o'clock. Let me go back now to the DPP.
The Integrity Commission has been under fire for not releasing its ruling that the Prime Minister would not be charged at the same time when the Commission issued a report into allegations of a possible conflict of interest. The Commission also had to table an addendum exonerating Mr. Bunting for his role in the issuing of firearm licenses. Paul Llewellyn noted that perceptions are not enough to form the basis for adverse decisions.
What is very important must be an awareness that you cannot indict on perceptions.
You hear that? Fool people. You hear that? Half-wits. Idiots. Pardon me for calling them idiots, because we don't know what is wrong with these people. You want perception to be the charge, but Mr. Bunting fought for his right. They are foolish. They are foolish, Harry. Mr. Bunting fought for his rights, and the IC issued the addendum. So what's the difference? Bunting had a right, but Wheatley don't. The Prime Minister shouldn't. So when it comes on to the PNP members, I am sure that if Dayton Campbell, Ian Hales, the opposition leader himself, any member of the PNP, if there was a report on them, they would have taken the same course of action that Dr. Wheatley is taking. The same course of action. There is no difference in Dr. Wheatley and you see you civil society groups. You see UNO? You see the civil society groups in Jamaica? You are one of the weakness in the democracy. The civil society groups, UNO civil society groups, UNO are part of the problem in Jamaica. UNO civil society groups, because UNO don't know fairness. UNO don't know fairness. And when people come out and speak the truth that you guys have political interests, UNO vex. Vex if you don't want vex. Boss if you don't want boss. UNO is aligned to the party opposite. UNO is aligned. UNO don't fear. UNO don't fear. And the people of Jamaica is beginning to see right through everything here now. It's coming out, you know. It is coming out little by little. And I am going to tell you this. What you meant for evil, all of you bloggers, what you meant for evil, God is going to turn it around for good. It is going to benefit the Prime Minister in the end. Watch me. Watch and see if it's not true. All of this is going to benefit Andrew Holness. Listen to the DPP.
Or suspicion. So in other words, there must be an evidential basis to make an adverse decision, whether at the administrative level or at the criminal level.
While noting that recent developments between some parliamentarians and the Integrity Commission are unfortunate, the DPP says that office and others like it must be especially careful.
As the head of any entity that has the power to make negative or adverse decisions against anybody which may negatively affect their reputation or their liberty, it is critical that you are fair and that your processes are transparent.
She noted that public perception about decisions is important.
The perception of your power, how you wield that power, is going to be critical when members of the public seek to measure your ability to be fair, the respect that you have for people over whom you make decisions and who you serve. And I was
Ms. Llewellyn is also encouraging office holders to acknowledge mistakes.
If you have made an error, you should not be afraid to say, I have erred and I was wrong and I apologize.
That piece of tape by the DPP, every PNP blogger should play it. And I challenge them to play it if they're bad. Mr. Ingram, would you play it, sir? When you come on tomorrow morning, would you play it? Caution. Mama San, would you play that? What about Pellucid Perry? Mr. Perry, would you like a copy of that tape? Would you play it on your program? I don't think you all will. Because it goes against your motives. Your motive is not for fear. It's not for fairness. It don't suit your narratives. Eh? Play that if you're bad. I challenge one of you bloggers. Play that on your program. I know me say so. Is the DPP, former DPP said it. Let me I'm going to play it again. But before I do that,
$13 million spent hiring.
Listen to Mr. Hughes this morning on his program, Cliff Hughes Online. You will recall that that Mr. Hughes interviewed the Prime Minister, and there is a devastating report coming out of Nationwide. The entire Jamaica should be up in arms tonight. I call upon the church. I call upon the private sector. I call upon civil society. I call upon well-thinking Jamaicans to demand an end to this charade. It is a charade against the legitimate, duly elected Prime Minister of Jamaica. Listen to Mr. Hughes.
$13 million spent hiring a forensic accounting examiner.
All of you this afternoon, your students, your children have passed for PEP. You're going to need some support to go back to school. The IC spent $30 million. Let that sink in. $30 million. It's been 4 years. They are investigating your Prime Minister. 4 years. More than 4 years. And they brought in a private investigator from overseas and paid them $30 million. When you turn up at your MP office for voucher, remember that. When you listen to the foolish bloggers online, remember that. You hear? Remember when you go back to vote. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. If Jamaica was a country where people were more actively engaged, thousands of us would turn up at the IC tomorrow morning before them open the gate. And I'm not calling for revolution. I see one of the PNP man taking out petition online. There should be a petition signed by 1.5 million Jamaicans that the investigation into the Prime Minister be brought to an immediate end. Not end it. Immediate end. It's a samphire. Right? Because no report that comes out of the IC concerning the Prime Minister now will have any bearing on people's views, because people have already made up their minds. 1.5 million people should sign that petition and demand that the IC immediately quits all reports. No more reports coming out there from there until it is fixed. Shut it down. Because if the Prime Minister of Jamaica is not prepared to repose confidence in the Integrity Commission, then it should be shut down. It should be shut down until we can fix it and open it back. We need it, but not in the form that it is in. You can't be investigating a man for 4 years. That is not justice. That is not justice. Listen to Mr. By the way, as I said to you, when you drive on the bad roads, remember that. When you don't have water in your pipes, remember that $30 million of your money was used to investigate your Prime Minister. And for 4 years, them cannot produce a report. Is that competence? You know, remember Harry last night said that they were incompetent, and I couldn't understand why he was so strong. Is that competence? What on God's earth you could be investigating a man for 4 years for? Huh? Not even Donald Trump.
Asking everyone to repost the live, tap the screen, share the live, and to send a heart, please.
Rise up. Right. Rise up. Rise up, labor rights. Rise up. Stand up, pound of foot. Stand up, pound of foot. And demand that the Integrity Commission release the findings. The FID have written to the IC, and the lawyers of the Prime Minister have written to the IC to say, release the findings of the FID, and the Integrity Commission can release it, but it done nationwide. So how nationwide get it? And the IC can't release it. Something no right. Something no right. The Integrity Commission must certify the Prime Minister immediately, and it must stop all investigation into this matter. If it go, it have to stop. It have to stop. Jamaica can't run so. It can't go so. This is a sovereign nation. This man has been duly elected by the people of Jamaica. And clearly, something wrong. Something wrong, man. Listen to Mr. Hughes.
Extensive research by the IC itself. You draw a blank. You decided that, no, you're going to go further now. You're going to send it to the FID. The FID has come back with this. And you're asked by the attorneys for the target of your investigation. Say to the Jamaican people, what is the FID's position? And you refuse to do that.
Okay, so the FID, the Integrity Commission, has refused to tell Jamaica what the FID findings on the Prime Minister is, but nationwide have it. And who are paid at IC? You know, guys, listen, who pay the IC? Who fund the Integrity Commission that nationwide is able to get the response, and the lawyers representing the Prime Minister can't get it, and the people of Jamaica have to be depending on nationwide to hear what is happening inside the case? What can go so? No, you tell me, Jamaicans, what can go so? What can go so? After $30 million, a budget of nearly $2 billion Jamaican dollars, we have to be depending on a news outlet to find out what is happening with our Prime Minister. A joke thing, this man. This is a joke thing, this. And we just sit down and take it so. You can't just take so. Something needs to be done about it. And what can be done about this? Because the IC in its present form, the people of Jamaica don't trust it. I mean, there is a strong divide. Which labor right have anything to do with the IC? Which one? It's almost this thing is political. And if an institution is riddled with perceptions of politics, whether it be correct or not, that institution is compromised. That is not an institution that can continue to function. It have to scrap. We have to close it down and come again. I don't know how it may happen, but all I'm saying is that the reports coming out of the Integrity Commission, we don't trust them because they are riddled with where they're not inaccuracies, they are perceptions of bias. And people were able to wave paper on the campaign trail about information coming out of the Integrity Commission with a senior journalist in the country claiming that there is a possibility that the Integrity Commission was trying to interfere in the democratic process by influencing the outcome of the last election. That was said on air in Jamaica, that an institution paid for by taxpayers' money was seeking to interfere in the outcome of an election. Isn't that treason? Why are we so quiet, Jamaicans? Why are we like this? We are descendants of what? How come we just so relax? What happened to we? When are we going to rise up? When is there going to be? The Prime Minister say he's not a revolutionary. Yeah, there needs to be someone in Jamaica to stand up. Who in Jamaica is going to stand up and say, this is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is happening in this country that needs to stop. Pause, no man, and stand up for your rights. Stand up for your rights, man, because this is not about the Prime Minister. It is about due process. It's about fairness. It's about what type of society do we want to live in? How are we going to proceed when the course of justice seems to be taking so long, so drawn out, so politicized? This is not good for our democracy. It don't look good. Something is wrong, and we need to stop. We need to stop. This must be fixed. Let's 21 minutes to 8 o'clock.
Asking everyone to tap the screen, share the live, support the live goals, or send some gifts to the platform.
You simply
You finished, Caroline?
Yes, neighbor.
seek cover to hold your head down with a sentence the matter is still under investigation. That's a problem, a big problem. And that is why half of the country has lost confidence and trust in the Integrity Commission.
Here it is. Half of the country lost trust in the Integrity Commission. So how is it going to be viable? You have to shut it down. If an institution does not enjoy the trust of the people of the democracy, that institution is not viable. Not viable. Would you board a bus when half the tires are bad? Would you board an airplane if only one of the engines are working? Would you? Would you drive would you go to KFC and buy a 2-piece meal and 1 piece of the chicken raw? Would you do that? Would you marry someone who half of them dead and half is alive? Would you do that? If half of the country have no confidence in the Integrity Commission, then it's a waste of time. Because anything that comes out, half of Jamaica believe, half don't believe, it is left to what? It's a waste of time. But what is to be done? And time will not. Because I only have 18 minutes to tell you what is to be done, because I know what is to be done. It's not as simple as shutting it down, but it has to be reformed. It has to be reformed.
This does not look right nor fair.
And let me tell you this before I continue with Mr. Hughes. The PNP, they have not only damaged Jamaica's image, reputation, economy, but our institutions. Our institutions. The PNP have helped to damage the reputation of the IC. It don't look good.
It is of major concern. More than $30 million spent hiring a forensic accounting examiner. Extensive research by the IC itself.
Well, we are replaying that. That is Mr. Hughes. I'm going to play for you again the former director of public prosecution, one of the finest ladies we had, the first DPP, and she made these comments some time back. They're surfaced today. They are worth listening to.
A caution from the Director of Public Prosecutions to entities like the Integrity Commission.
One must be wary of making utterances or having this inscrutable silence or operating in a way that may unwittingly give elements of the public the perception that there may be an unconscious bias.
The DPP stressed that unless convicted otherwise, everyone is entitled to their good name.
I really do not like it when I hear persons who should know better, either by Twitter or otherwise, mischaracterizing or unwittingly transmitting false information that can negatively impact people's good name.
There have been ongoing concerns about how the Integrity Commission has handled reports involving Prime Minister Andrew Holness, former National Security Minister Peter Bunting, and others. The Integrity Commission has been under fire for not releasing its ruling that the Prime Minister would not be charged at the same time when the Commission issued a report into allegations of a possible conflict of interest. The Commission also had to table an addendum exonerating Mr. Bunting for his role in the issuing of firearm licenses. Paul Llewellyn noted that perceptions are not enough to form the basis for adverse decisions.
What is very important must be an awareness that you cannot indict on perceptions or suspicion.
You hear that? You cannot indict on perceptions. Perceptions are just perceptions. Are we a country of rule, the rule of law, or we are a country of propaganda and hearsay? Are we?
So, in other words, there must be an evidential basis to make an adverse decision, whether at the administrative level or at the criminal level.
While noting that recent developments between some parliamentarians and the Integrity Commission are unfortunate, the DPP says that office and others like it must be especially careful.
As the head of any entity that has the power to make negative or adverse decisions against anybody which may negatively affect their reputation or their liberty, it is critical that you are fair and that your processes are transparent.
She noted that public perception about decisions is important.
The perception of your power, how you wield that power.
We can leave that there. That's the former director of public prosecution. Very telling piece of tape, that. And I think that it bears some attention. We are close to exhausting our time, but the Parliament today was blessed by Rosalie. My understanding is that Rosalie was in the Parliament today as a guest of Mr. Isaac Buchanan. Now, I don't have any issue with Rosalie. But I tell you something, Parliament is becoming quite a joke. Parliament is becoming quite a joke. It is almost as if, anybody can now turn up in the Parliament. And we see that happen today. Anyway, let's roll on, and we have Scratchy with us already at 9:20. Hello, Scratchy.
Good night, Neighbour, night Caroline, night everyone. YouTube, TikTok, and all social media platform. Much love and respect.
Night Scratch.
Yeah, man. What's on your mind?
I'm here, Neighbour. I'm here listening to your complete your session.
Well, know that you are here. Know that you are here. So let's see if we can pick apart what is happening here. Scratchy, did you hear the former DPP?
Yes, Neighbour.
What's your view on what she had to say?
Very precise, Neighbour. Very on point. Very, 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 very much on point, Neighbour. Because let me tell the DPP said, Neighbour, it's being played out right now. And persons who aid organizations, Neighbour, that can tarnish people's name and people's reputation. They're not taking that in consideration. We see what happened to the Prime Minister. We see what Mr. Wade, Mr. Bunting from the opposition side as well.
Yes.
They have to rebut something towards him as well. So it goes to show me that it is full time now for this organization to be reigning. Some serious amendment need to be made to this act in regards as how the IC, the Integrity Commission operates. They are way above their wits, I believe. They are more moving on feelings and factual evidence. And an organization that starts with that power, you cannot allow an organization like that to just decide that what they want to do and how they want to operate. The DPP made mention about following the long length of silence, not giving anybody an update as to how your investigations are going on and stuff like that. You allow a person to form the public opinion and the speculation. So this organization here, but they know they do business. They have to wheel and come again. Some serious amendment need to be done on the Parliament Oversight Committee reading this organization here and fix what needs to be fixed. Yes, we definitely need an integrity commission, yes, but not in this current form, not in this current shape here. They have demonized the Prime Minister. They have allowed the country to basically come up with a type of accusation against the Prime Minister while the representative of the office will sit. And I would say that many of these members of the IC who have the dignity and the pride before the end of the week they should just submit the resignation Make the government have to go and ponder and find people to put there. But for the time being every single one I don't have any dignity and pride. And they have been shown up to submit to the resignation and step aside.
Wouldn't you agree with me, Scratchy, that where we are now, there is no recovery for this institution? Because as Mr. Hughes suggested, half of Jamaica don't trust them, and another half not even so sure. Because even PNP members have, I cited the case of Peter Bunting earlier, how fiercely he took on the IC. Wouldn't you agree that at this point there is a crisis at the Integrity Commission?
Definitely never. It's a crisis there, but to this crisis never there's no pitch patching. This crisis is a crisis there, but I need a whole overall. It's not a patching there and fixing right there. It should need complete overall. Tear down the whole building and build it up fresh. Because what we see going on here, it's clear neighbor that this organization neighbor is tampered. And we don't know how far neighbor, or to what degree neighbor it is tampered with neighbor. Because if you look neighbor at all that organization is set up, there's a chain, in terms of different persons. You can see that each and every one of them neighbor share the same objective neighbor, share the same agenda. So if you remove one, you still might have 2 or 3 more neighbors that still planted their neighbor to carry out their agenda. Case in point neighbor, the chairman or the head of that organization was removed, thinking that things would be better now, but he left this stay in their neighbor, and I believe that he still have some form of influence on that organization and now they are doing their business because of how they really might have respected them as their boss before or stuff like that. So it's clear neighbor that they need a total overall neighbor. Every single person there neighbor who was some form of power for authority neighbor just need to be removed and a brand new fresh slate of person are put in place. It is contaminated fully.
Yeah. The matter of the Prime Minister continues to get quite a bit of press scratching. The FID has released a letter to the IC. The Prime Minister said that his lawyers have written to the IC to ask them to make the findings of the FID public. The IC have not done so, but Nationwide is reporting what the FID response is. How comes?
The IC no neighbor that they should public. It's just like a neighbor. It wouldn't be in their best interest neighbor. So it wouldn't look good on them neighbor. So they withheld the neighbor from decide not to release it to the public because this neighbor would have never make IC.
Yeah, but I'm not blaming Nationwide for getting their information. I'm saying to you that the Prime Minister's lawyers wrote to the IC to ask for the letter to be released to the public. The IC don't do that, but it is in the public.
That's the reason investigative journalism that is being brought out by Nationwide news by Nationwide news could retrieve this letter and make Africa be public. So there is something on the part of Nationwide that Nationwide is doing good. Because the IC didn't
but hold on. You still have to question these institutions, Scratch. If leak can happen at any one of them.
Leak has always been happening. Because there's a lot of things there that nationwide that's managed to broken over the years, other media houses. So the leak neighbor is something neighbor that yes, this might be the last put in place towards neighbor. The leak has always been a thing neighbor, and you could always continue to,
Asking everyone to repost the live, tap the screen, share the live, and send a heart news as well.
It's clear and clear, but that information was leaked to nationwide.
Yeah, but this is concerning the Prime Minister. I mean, I don't understand.
Never. It's only two persons might have come in contact with that letter neighbor, so maybe it's one of those places that will be responsible neighbor for whatever leak that document lead neighbor. It's only the two persons, the Prime Minister, I think get this letter in no way, shape, or form, because they asked for it. They said that the nation, IC responding by saying matter is still an investigation. So no one from the Prime Minister team at this letter neighbor. So it's only between the two persons neighbor who are corresponding between back and forth with each other. It must have from there it's coming from.
Okay. Whatever happens from here, whether the IC certifies or it doesn't, is at this moment, how relevant is that? What difference would that make?
Certification, neighbor, is a serious question right now, neighbor, as to whether the IC neighbor is as any form of relevance, neighbor, any form of dignity or anything, or integrity, in terms of deciding who is certified or not, based on their activities and based on the style that they are pushing towards us and showing us, So I definitely don't see. My biggest purpose with me with the IC, here. I can understand, neighbor, how the IC was given such broad power, neighbor, where the IC can suggest someone for illicit enrichment, neighbor. And without, neighbor, I don't know if this in Dr. Will case, neighbor, if the FID was a part of that investigation. I'm not sure. But it's clear as day, neighbor, that in this first aspect of the Prime Minister investigation, FID was the part of it, neighbor, and the FID is the Financial Investigative Investigation Division. So something or an agency, neighbor, arm of the government or the part of the force with that type of neighbor, financial investigation is not involved, neighbor, in any form of investigation that the IC is doing, neighbor, in terms of money and stuff like that and persons. I don't know what skill set neighbor the IC comes with, neighbor. I don't know what kind of equipment or what kind of tools or what kind of whatever they have, neighbor. But it is clear, neighbor, that the IC it's too broad, neighbor. The IC should have single-handedly, neighbor, can decide, neighbor, if someone should be charged or should be referred to charge for illicit enrichment or that, neighbor. I should take all of the other, the Financial Service Commission, the Financial Investigative Division. All of these guys must have taken that or have some form of saying that. You cannot come up on your own and decide to yes, you're going to do that. I don't. The IC power is too broad, neighbor. I has to be ready.
In terms of pressure for the IC to release the report, what can the citizens of Jamaica do? We have to just sit down and wait. What can happen? Parliament can do nothing. Nothing can happen.
Well, neighbor, we'll talk about neighbor, injustice, neighbor. Injustice, neighbor, is not over the allegations, neighbor, of extradition or allegation or alleged of extrajudicial killing, extrajudicial police killing, neighbor. Injustice, neighbor, is not when someone loses their life alone. What is happening right before our eyes, neighbor, is injustice, It's an attack on our democracy, neighbor. It's an attack, neighbor, and the persons, neighbor, who went out and voted for this government, neighbor, for a consecutive third term, neighbor. It is an attack on the advancement and the development of our country, because the main person that was the Integrity Commission being targeted, neighbor, is the main person, neighbor, who is responsible for the advancement and the movement that Jamaica is currently facing right now. So once the Integrity Commission has a mission or agenda to get out that person, it is clear that they are trampling upon everything that has to do with the goodwill and the advancement of Jamaica. So, neighbor, I say all of that to say this, neighbor, that this is a time when you need a petition, neighbor. This is a time when person should come down, neighbor, and rally around and say, okay, we're going to trample up and we're going to protest against an institution, neighbor, that we are giving $2 billion a year of taxpayers' money, neighbor, that is not conducting their affairs in the best interest of the country. This is a time, neighbor, when time persons rally up and make a stand and talk out about what is going on. And each and every single one of us, a lot of us, neighbor, Sometimes I believe Neighbour that Neighbour right. I believe that sometimes we are too well. I see plenty of lines a little simple. Protest is something simple. No, nothing. And this is something large. This is something big. So this is the time we need petition. This is the time we have to put the heat on the Integrity Commission, Neighbour. Because the people come out, Neighbour, will stand up strong and protest against the Integrity Commission in a peaceful way. And there's no such shame and embarrassment for them with their behavior. Release everything and certify the Prime Minister and allow them to step down. That's what we want from the Integrity Commission, Neighbour. It's stated, Neighbour, the institution is stated, Neighbour. The letter from FID proves everything to us, Neighbour, that the Integrity Commission is on a witch hunt in trying to trust, in trying to lay a certain form of allegations against the Prime Minister. I allow Jamaicans to form their own thinking, Neighbour, which most of the time are going to be negative in regard to the Prime Minister. And it's a shame and embarrassment on the Integrity Commission for the Neighbour. Key part of the letter again, Neighbour, FID wrote to them, they wrote back to the FID, asking the FID to reconsider their position and investigate. After FID made it clear in every letter that I said that it's not how we do things. This is not how we want to do investigation for the case of investigation. And based on the amount of resources that we are going to use up and take up for this investigation, it's not going to change anything. We're going to find the Prime Minister illegal. And you still bypass all of that and tell the FID to reconsider your position. That is simple fishing. That is mudslinging. That is not professionalism.
Okay. Scratchy, at this stage, the national interest requires closure. The longer the stakes here, Scratchy, the more the Integrity Commission loses credibility. Isn't it time for there to be an action to get this matter to an end? After 4 years, Scratchy, what has Mr. Holness done to deserve to be under investigation for 4 years? And the nation cannot know if its Prime Minister statutory declarations are certified. What could be so complex in this matter? Harry last night suggested incompetence. There can't be incompetence, Scratchy. Then if it is incompetence, then we don't need these people. The national interest, Scratchy, let's focus on that. There has to be a closure to this matter as quickly as possible. Because if it drags on for any other length of time, then the Integrity Commission is going to continue to bleed. So in the interest of the Integrity Commission preserving the little integrity they have left, don't you think that this matter ought to be brought to an end?
Neighbour, this matter, Neighbour, and this investigation, Neighbour, the Prime Minister, over an extended period of time, Neighbour, it only goes to show us, Neighbour, that the Integrity Commission, Neighbour, despite being an institution and doing their duty, Neighbour, they owe no form of respect, Neighbour, for the person who they are investigating, Neighbour, because they have allowed, Neighbour, the investigation to linger in the public for so long, Neighbour, where persons are forming their own perception. I know the Integrity Commission is listening and hearing everything that is being said about the Prime Minister. And it goes to show you, Neighbour, that the only thing, Neighbour, that the Integrity Commission need to do right now, Neighbour, they need to certify the Prime Minister. And despite certify the Prime Minister, Neighbour, they all need to step aside, same way, Neighbour.
But hold on, Scratchy. Even if they do, that is going to be problematic too, Scratchy. At this stage, irrespective of where the IC rule, it is going to be problematic,
Yeah, but anyway, them turn Jamaica, when I say my country, neighbor. But the way I would want them to turn is to certify the Prime Minister and show us loudly and boldly that you guys were compromised and you guys were fishing. Neighbor, if you look at the timeline coming up to the last general election, neighbor, the release, neighbor, the Integrity Commission reports them, neighbor. They were orchestrated, neighbor. All of the reports that were sent to Parliament, neighbor, in regard to the Prime Minister's, neighbor, it was orchestrated. Leaks, neighbor, were orchestrated, neighbor. They were planned when and what stages they were going to release these things, neighbor, to help and to aid the PNP, neighbor, and becoming victorious in the last election. And it didn't work. That is what the Integrity Commission was trying to do. It didn't work. And never right now, FID did something great. The letter again, FID said they didn't make it public that they were in conversation with the Integrity Commission because they didn't want to compromise the whole situation. They didn't want to look like they were attacking or doing certain things. That's a part of the FID make clear again. Even though the FID said yes, we had 2 meetings with them. So the FID never was more pragmatic in their approach never. The FID was more professional in their approach never. And it goes to show never that the FID has a better understanding about these financial crime and these financial investigations. Way more than the Integrity Commission has never. And no investigation should be done by the Integrity Commission without the assistance of the FID when it comes to any monetary form of investigation. You don't have the skill or nothing to do that. You cannot come and you just say, just because you do your calculation was even wrong. And it's so good. But your calculation that your release was even wrong. And then you want to say, based on your calculation, you're going to refer a man to the charge of illicit enrichment. Something that is so serious. And just because documents that were forwarded to you, you don't feel that your brain said, these documents have any merit, or these documents have any validation towards what you're talking about. And you have that awesome power to just say, we don't bring into anybody with a serious moral law enforcement. Come on, man, that is madness, man. That Integrity Commission never have to refrain up and come again, man. It can't operate in that way. The power is too broad. It cannot work like that. You can't have an institution in your country, you can't overthrow your government.
Thank you.
The government is overthrown by military. And you have an institution which is not the military and try to overthrow the government. Total madness. They need to be reigning, man.
Hold on a little bit there from a scratch. Astute, are you hearing me?
Yes, Neighbour, loud and clear.
Okay, so Astute, importantly, this is no longer simply a question about the Prime Minister. It is increasingly becoming a question about the reputation of the Integrity Commission itself. And so the statutory declarations of the Prime Minister aside, the Integrity Commission itself is now under scrutiny. And Astute, institutions derive their authority from the public's trust. And when investigations become prolonged or controversial, confidence begins to erode regardless of the eventual outcome. Now we are hearing that half of Jamaica do not have any confidence in the Integrity Commission. Is that not the real issue right here now? Not so much the Prime Minister's statutory declaration, but the institution doing the work on behalf of the people of Jamaica?
Most definitely, Neighbour, but more than the institution itself, it's the players. Because remember, the institution has its own mandate. So if I have a club, or if I'm a part of a club or society, and that club or society has a mandate, the thing that determines whether the players in... So just to back up a little, we were using the word incompetent. And I will agree that incompetent is the exact word to use. Because what we are seeing is that the players in the IC are showing that they do not have the requisite skills to get the job done successfully. So it is incompetence. So back to my point. Incompetent is the exact word being used. So it is showing, so the grouse is not with the institution itself, because enshrined in the institution is the mandate given to the institution.
Yes.
And how we know that the institution is not fulfilling its mandate is when we have an analysis to see, are the players fulfilling that mandate? And what we can completely see and clearly see unequivocally is that they are not doing their jobs as they ought to. So yes, Neighbour, as I said, it is not so much about the institution, because the institution itself is necessary in a democratic society. Because in times of old, we didn't have these kind of institutions as watchdogs, and as a result, our country descended into a place that we once thought we could not dig ourselves out of. So it's not the institution, but the players.
Okay, so I want you to, so the deepest issue here is not whether the Prime Minister is ultimately certified. The deepest issue is whether Jamaicans of different political views can accept the legitimacy of the process. And at this point, Astute, the legitimacy of the process is not accepted. And I think that is the crisis.
Yes, Neighbour. Exactly. Because Neighbour, if I am building a business and I have different departments, the success of the business is directly related on each department carrying out their functions at an optimal level.
Yes.
If at any point within that process chain there's a breakdown, then it messes with the system in totality. Therefore, we are not able to receive the ultimate benefits that we should as a consequence of the breakdown in that department.
Yes.
And that is what we're faced with right now.
A crisis indeed.
Yes.
Yes, philosopher Max Weber argued that institutions derive authority not simply from power, but from legitimacy. Do you not accept that the IC may have the power, but they are still not legitimate because the people of the country do not trust the work that they are doing? Is this not a crisis on our nation, sir?
Most definitely, and you can extrapolate and expand from that to say, based on the powers that are given to the IC, they can mess with the democratic process. Because remember, as we are seeing, once somebody is alleged to do something without any form of charge being laid, civil, quote-unquote, civil society and other individual interest groups are going to come out and ask for the resignation of said individual, which simply means, as the leader of whatever, of an organization, of a country, all the IC has to do is lay an allegation, and with the powers invested in that IC, they now have the authority to get rid of whichever player they decide and determine how governments are formed and how institutions are formed, and that cannot be.
Yes. Let me pause a minute to welcome Mr. Dennis Atkinson to the platform. Mr. Atkinson, good evening to you, sir. Welcome. Trust you will stay with us until 10 o'clock. Welcome to the Politics Plus network and the Hello Neighbor show. Great to have you. I'm coming to you, Chaps Media. Affluence. In 2022, the Integrity Commission tabled a report in the Parliament on the issuance of firearm licenses. In that report, the Integrity Commission claimed that national security ministers, including Peter Bunting, had approved firearm licenses for individuals described as being of questionable character. Mr. Bunting took on the case and fought, claiming that he did no such thing. The Integrity Commission tabled an addendum to the report it submitted, and it concluded that Mr. Bunting acted in accordance with the recommendations of the review board, and in one instance had been even more conservative than the board's recommendation. That happened for a member of the People's National Party. Does this not suggest, Astute, that the Integrity Commission can get things wrong?
Most definitely. And it is a point worth noting, because a lot of disinformation is out there saying the IC as a perfect record. As you would have proven empirically today, that is not true. So we see that the IC has blundered, which brought the director of public prosecutions at that time, Paula Llewellyn, to say it is something that she does not like any at all, because one has the right to maintain their perfect image until otherwise determined, and it cannot be based on perception. It has to be based on the judiciary, the rule of law. So yes, Neighbour, most definitely, it is showing that they can get things wrong.
Okay, now the citizens of Jamaica. Let me ask you a personal question, Astute. Do you have confidence in this integrity commission? Do you?
No, Neighbour, none whatsoever.
You don't.
None.
So you are among nearly 50% or more than 50% of Jamaicans that don't have no confidence in the integrity commission.
No, correct.
Why would you say that you don't? You are a man of some substance yourself. Why would you not have confidence in them?
Neighbour, in my analysis of the whole thing before that letter was released, I was looking at the conversation around the international forensic auditor that was brought in.
Yes.
And when that, so let me say this first before I continue. According to the IC Act, once the IC has tabled their findings, their part of the process would stop. Now, you are saying to me that you tabled a report, and after you tabled a report, you not only did you table a report, you got an international. So essentially, the IC said, we did our due diligence, we did our research, we did our analysis. The DCP, Director of Corruption Prevention, did not suggest that charges be laid. They tabled their report to Parliament. After tabling their report to Parliament, they got an external auditor, a forensic auditor, to do a deep dive. After that deep dive was done to the tune of, and I think this is misappropriation of public funds, but that's a different conversation. After they did a deep dive to the tune of $30 million, see it still, there was no suggestion to lay charges, that charges be laid against the Prime Minister. They went an extra step further to say they want to refer it to the FID. No, according to the same IC Act, they cannot do that. It is illegal, because once they have tabled it in Parliament, that means it should be the close of the case, and now that they should either certify or suggest that charges be laid. And from there, my trust in the Integrity Commission eroded. It was non-existent.
Yeah.
So from there.
All right. Thank you so much. Hold on there for me. Chops, good night to you.
Pleasant evening to you, Neighbour, and evening to your guest and all the listeners.
Chops Media, here is where I'd like to switch the conversation. To what extent is this crisis, this confidence of trust in the Integrity Commission, a part of the legacy of the People's National Party? Have they assisted in damaging the reputation of the institution?
Tremendously. Some of the utterances, for example, when they started to boast about having information coming out of the Integrity Commission before it's actually released, and then the information was released to support their claim, it tells you that there is no credibility there where the information, classified information, is concerned.
So why would the PNP have led? Wouldn't the PNP know that once you get politics involved? I remember when Montague made a presentation in Parliament, I don't know if you remember,
Yes, sir, I do.
And I don't think the party was happy with it.
Well, a few months later, the Prime Minister, no less a person than the Prime Minister, had to do the exact same thing because it just got way out of hand. The Prime Minister had to defend himself, just the same like Montague had to defend himself.
Well, not in the Parliament.
No, in the Parliament.
In the Parliament?
Well, he took it further. Yeah, the Prime Minister had to address the situation in Parliament. Briefly, he did, and then he took it legal, where sections of the act has been challenged.
Okay, but you don't think that you think the PNP would be aware that if they politicized this institution, the institution would lose credibility?
They don't care. They don't care. Credibility and the PNP doesn't go hand in hand. It's grammatically incorrect. They don't care. Neighbor, you're dealing with, you see what needs to happen, and I think that everybody is on the same page. When you start to insert politics in some things that are just clearly, doesn't necessarily need politics. For example, the Integrity Commission would have wronged former Minister Peter Bunting before. He spoke about the Integrity Commission in a very unsavory way, and spoke about some of the issues that he had personally with the Integrity Commission. And then the same thing occur with members of the Jamaica Labour Party government. So I'm saying that to say that the issues with the Integrity Commission runs across both political parties. And what you find happening is that because there is political mileage to be gained from it, the PNP takes a different position. But it's not to say that they have not been wrong. As a matter of fact, there's quite a few members of the PNP who have been hauled before the court, and rightfully so, because of failure to file. But yes, the issues that we're seeing now, which the government having an issue with, it doesn't require politicizing, and shame on the PNP for doing that.
Now, how do we fix this chops media? I am suggesting that statutory timelines ought to be established where no certification involving elected officials remain unresolved indefinitely. But before you answer that, is the Integrity Commission now so compromised that whatever it does will be clouded? And if that is so, what it is that is going to happen?
The Oversight Committee, which has a responsibility for examining the current laws that govern the Integrity Commission, has met quite a few times. I think they met in March of this year. And from what I gather is that they would have done some work in terms of what is necessary for the reform. The question that we, and I wrote a piece to the Observer, an open letter to the chairman of the committee, Minister Ed Bartlett. I wrote an open letter requesting that certain answers be given, because of course we have answers in the public space. We would like to know, and myself for sure would like to know, why is it that upon returning to office on September 3rd last year, why the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee did not prioritize their meetings and ensure that the necessary reforms take place with a certain level of urgency. I'm not saying that they're not doing what needs to be done, but the level of urgency that is required to fix this problem, which is a threat to our democracy. The Integrity Commission behavior is a threat to Jamaica's democracy, and I believe wholeheartedly that any individual and or institution that threatens Jamaica's democracy, the country have a duty, the parliament have a duty to act, and to act decisively and quickly. because this is a matter, neighbor, that if you don't act now, you run the risk. The gentleman who spoke earlier, and we mentioned it a couple nights ago, that we are playing with fire. Because if we set a precedent that gives an institution such as the Integrity Commission the power to decide who they charge, and because charges are laid, it means that those persons have to tender their resignation. It is a very dangerous precedent that we're messing around with. Because if it is that we do that, then we are relinquishing the democratic power of government, and we are relinquishing that to a simple agency that reports to government. It is a dangerous thing, and the Oversight Committee needs to act and act now.
Okay, let me hear your comment, Chops Media, on, well, first of all, the Prime Minister is suggesting that his lawyers wrote to the IC to ask for the position of the FID to be made public. The IC have not responded favorably. How is it that this matter is not, that this letter or the position of the FID is now in the public domain?
You're asking me how did that letter?
Well, I'm asking if you are concerned that obviously it was leaked.
Well, Nationwide read and publicized excerpt of a letter they claim was sent to the Integrity Commission by the FID. Now, until the FID, verify.
But they haven't denied. They have not denied. And more than 24 hours have passed.
Well, they have not denied it, and they have not accepted it either. So at that point, we just have to, wait and see. However, given the track record of Nationwide, it is fair to say that Nationwide is accurate in their reporting. Very rare they get things like these wrong, and I have every confidence in what they're reporting to be factual. No, let us presume that what they're reading is actually correct. No, there are two entities.
You don't think that if it was not correct, that the IC ought or the FID ought to have come out by now to say we never, to have just left that in the public space?
Well, you see, again, you see, you cannot force an entity to respond, especially when it is not in their favor. No, there are two entities here. Let's say, for example, that what Nationwide is reporting is accurate and is correct. There are only two entities that would have been in receipt of that letter. One of the entity would have been the FID, and the other would have been the Integrity Commission. Now, if we're talking about leaks, then the two entities are more likely. It would be reasonable to think that a leak of that nature would have to come from either of the two entities, the FID or the Integrity Commission. And if you want to reason it a little further, you would say to yourself, no, what reason would the FID have to release it, and what reason the IC would have to release it? Yesterday I said to you, yesterday I said to you that I believe that one should examine the act that governed the FID, and to see if within that act there is a section of it that gives the FID the ability and the privilege to release same to the public, because not only does the FID have a responsibility on a legal standing, but they also have a fiduciary responsibility to the people of Jamaica. And whenever there's a matter that concerns Jamaicans that has created the level of controversy that this has created, the FID, I said to you, have a responsibility to quell or to clarify what is swirling in the public space. And I said that last night, that I am hoping that there is a section of the act that will give them that privilege. And by today, we saw where Nationwide is reporting to have received the excerpt or the letter itself. So I don't know if there is legal grounds for it to be released. I don't know if there was a leak and who it would come from. But if there's ever a time that a leak was necessary, that time would be now.
Okay. 4 years or a little bit more than 4 years investigating a prime minister, chops media, is a long time. Significant public resources invested in doing so. But up until now, the people of Jamaica have no accountability. What can we do?
Neighbor, if you spend, and again, we are like broken records over here because we've been saying this for a while. If it is that you're spending the level of taxpayers' money on an entity that is only able to produce less than 3% of outcome, then you have a problem, because in any private institution that produce 3% or less of what is expected of them, that company would not be in existence today. Again, I cited that if it is that you have an entity that you spend so much money on, and a journalist could take a report coming out of your office, a $2.8 billion office, and a journalist who sits in a room somewhere down in downtown Kingston on the digital building, and they were able to go into a newsroom, take a report coming from an office such as the Integrity Commission,
Yes.
and literally compute the numbers and found that the numbers were inaccurate. It speaks volume. If you have an institution
Yes.
like the Integrity Commission that hauls down significant amount of money from government every year, and one of their directors was fingered in carrying a large sum of cash in New Kingston, robbed, shot in the arm, and failed to give a report to the police. As far as I'm concerned, that matter is still up in the air.
Yes.
And that individual still remains a director. And I keep asking, when you put that particular situation and you insert a politician is robbed in New Kingston,
Yes.
and is seen with a briefcase full of money, how would the Jamaican people deal with that? And if it is that the Integrity Commission is supposed to be one of those institutions that hold us accountable, I am asking again, who is holding the Integrity Commission accountable? And I say without any fear of contradiction tonight, that the chairman of the Oversight Committee and Parliament in of itself need to act now, because failure to do so, you are putting the democracy in jeopardy. They have to act now, neighbor.
At this stage, Chops Media, the national interest requires closure, and the Integrity Commission should bring the matter to a conclusion as quickly as possible, consistent with its legal obligations. If certification is warranted, the Commission should explain its reasoning clearly. If certification is not warranted, it should likewise provide a clear and transparent basis for its decision. But are we going to just sit by and allow this to just carry on?
Let me ask you this question, and I'd love to put the question to all the members on your panel and to the wider Jamaica. If it is that the Financial Investigation Division letter that Nationwide read this evening, let's say that is correct, and it is actually the letter from FID, yes? And let's say that letter says that there is nothing here to charge the Prime Minister for. Let's say that we finally get a hold of the report that came from the external auditing firm that was hired with taxpayers' money. Again, that report also states that there is nothing to charge the Prime Minister for. Let's say these things are made public officially now, an official release from the FID, and I'm assuming that as part of their investigation, they might have, still have possession of the letter coming from the independent auditing firm. Let's say these things are released to the public officially, in an official capacity. They are sent to Parliament, and Parliament could subpoena them. The Oversight Committee could subpoena them, whatever it is. But let's say these things come to the public officially, and the Prime Minister from that level has been vindicated.
Yes.
The question I want to ask, Neighbour, is it not fair game for every single individual at the Integrity Commission should tender their resignation forthwith?
Well, it's a very good question.
Because how could we move beyond that? How could we then expect that the Integrity Commission is going to further, a few months from now, prepare another document to subpoena somebody for questioning?
What confidence would anyone have in them?
Yes.
What
If
confidence?
we already have no confidence. The Prime Minister has no confidence in an
yes.
institution. If the Prime Minister of a country has no confidence in an institution.
But if I heard the Prime Minister,
I would resign.
if I heard the Prime Minister saying that yesterday, I would attend to my resignation,
If the Prime Minister says he has no confidence in me,
yes,
in my capacity, wherever I am employed, that is attached or financed by government, I would tender my resignation.
I once told a man that I worked for. You see, I said to him, sir, listen to me. I work for you, and I'm not going to give you any problem. Any day you just tell me that, sir, I no longer have confidence in you. You get my resignation same day.
But Neighbour, if it is, and I'm saying this with absolute, just there's no politics in this. This is as clear as day. If the Prime Minister of the country have no confidence in an institution such as the Integrity Commission.
Yes, I think the Prime Minister is saying you are absolutely correct. I don't think those people have integrity, sir. Because if they did have integrity, they would not have sat down and heard that interview yesterday and still be in their jobs. Carrying on your job on a Prime Minister that have no confidence in you. Come on.
I think at some point, though, Neighbour, at some point we have to now take the bull by the horn. And the Prime Minister will have to now decide whether or not he's going to pen a letter to instruct the Governor General to do what needs to be done.
Yes.
This thing has to be overhauled. It cannot continue. And if you just think about it, Neighbour, you exhaust all the options available to you internally within the Integrity Commission.
Yes.
And you bring it to the prosecutor there, and the prosecutor said, what you have here is not sufficient for me to charge. And you take it back and bypass them. You go to Parliament and you table it. And then you move it from Parliament and you send it to an agency outside the government.
Yeah.
The agency should have refused to look at it. However, they did. And they say we found nothing.
Yeah, I really just want to double down, because when a head of government says that really he has no confidence, then I don't see how that institution has any legitimacy in the country. I mean, if the Prime Minister says he has no confidence in the Commissioner of Police, then the Commissioner of Police have to resign. If the Prime Minister says he has no confidence in the Minister of Agriculture, he can't stay in his position, sir.
But neighbor, in a professional environment, you really don't fire people, you know. The language that is utilized is to say that I have no confidence in you.
Yes, so you must do the honorable thing.
Whenever those words come out of the mouth of anybody who is above you, then you know what you need to do.
Yeah. And if you don't, then it suggests that you have some motives.
Precisely. And if you have some motives, those would have been obvious already, because you would have been acting in a particular way that suggests that you have a motive. I just believe, neighbor, that the Prime Minister, Cabinet, let me not just put this whole at the feet of the Prime Minister, because he doesn't operate like that. But I think Cabinet needs to make a decision on how to proceed. First of all, the Oversight Committee needs to say something or do something. And Parliament in of itself, who the people, who they have a duty to the people. They don't have a duty to civil society, you know. They have a duty to the people. And if we are saying if 50% of Jamaicans have no confidence in an institution of that magnitude, then it's got to go.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know what the hold up is.
Yeah. Do you think? Go ahead, Caroline.
Listeners, please tap the screen, share the live. And for listeners over on YouTube, could you please subscribe and like? And for X, could you please repost the live stream, please? And for TikTok, please continue to tap and repost, please. Thanks.
You listened, Chops Media, to the former Director of Public Prosecution. A tape emerged today. Did you listen to her?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I heard her I've listened to her long ago. Let me tell you, this issue is nothing new, neighbor.
Yes.
The position that the former DPP highlighted, or the issues that she had with the Integrity Commission.
Yes.
I want to take you back to when by Andrew Holness, when they declared.
Yes.
Listen to me carefully. When they declared the perimeter road in Montego Bay to become a national project to assist with cutting through the red tapes. And when he said that the Integrity Commission at the time was welcomed, the Prime Minister's words were, I welcome the Integrity Commission to be a part of the oversight on this project.
Yes.
Right? Because even though it has been declared a national project, we want the Integrity Commission to be a part of it. You know what Greg Christie's response were at the time?
Remind us.
I don't need your invitation. I go wherever I want to go.
What you saying to me?
Ask anybody to find the tape. That was his response.
Oh.
He has no respect for authority in this country. And that is the way the Integrity Commission is. The Integrity Commission is operating on the template of Greg Christie, where they have absolutely no regard for authority or respect, because they believe in of themselves that they are above the law. They can operate with impunity. They want the power of arrest. Did you know that? The only thing the Integrity Commission don't have, is the power of arrest. They want that. They don't want the matters that they have reviewed to go to the DPP, They don't want that. They want to bypass the DPP. But listen, think about the caliber of work. Think about the level of investigation, the type of investigation, and how they do their job. And tell me if you did not have a DPP to step in at some point.
Yes.
And correct.
You know, it's going to be interesting to see how the DPP rule in the matter before her now. Because the DPP can't act on perception, and a lot of people running up their mouths, need to realize that these professionals will have to act based on where the evidence is. I think we should play again for our listener, my producer wants me to play the FID, the matter. Producer, I'll come back to that. But I think the matter on the DPP comments are listen to it.
A caution from the Director of Public Prosecutions to entities like the Integrity Commission.
One must be wary of making utterances or having this inscrutable silence or operating in a way that may unwittingly give elements of the public the perception that there may be an unconscious bias.
The DPP stressed that unless convicted otherwise, everyone is entitled to their good name.
I really do not like it when I hear persons who should know better, either by Twitter or otherwise, mischaracterizing or unwittingly transmitting false information that can negatively impact people's good name.
There have been ongoing concerns about how the Integrity Commission has handled reports involving Prime Minister Andrew Holness, former National Security Minister Peter Bunting, and others. The Integrity Commission has been under fire for not releasing its ruling that the Prime Minister would not be charged at the same time when the Commission issued a report into allegations of a possible conflict of interest. The Commission also had to table an addendum exonerating Mr. Bunting for his role in the issuing of firearm licenses. Paul Llewellyn noted that perceptions are not enough to form the basis for adverse decisions.
What is very important must be an awareness that you cannot indict on perceptions.
There you go. There you go, Chops. Cannot indict on perceptions.
There you go. And if we are to use this as a guideline and
More than 30 minutes.
Hold on.
to set up our... Go ahead, neighbor.
No, man, you go ahead.
No, if we are to use what the DPP is saying as a guideline, and if we are to listen to what the... And that's a former DPP, rather.
Right.
And if we are to take any guidance from what the letter that Nationwide read from the FID, if those two are to be used as a guideline, then what you're suggesting here, that there's interesting days ahead, it means therefore that the current DPP would have to be acting, I don't know, because if it is that the former DPP observe a pattern and the FID observe another pattern, because what has been read, is detrimental to the Integrity Commission,
Let's hear George Davis reporting on this.
Yes, please.
Hold on.
Please.
Nationwide News understands the FID made its position known in a letter sent to the Integrity Commission on September 30, 2025. That letter was sent by Principal Director of the FID, Keith Darian, to the IC's Director of Investigations, Kevin Stevenson. In the letter, the FID is clear. It says that after extensive review, it has determined there is no reasonable prospect of obtaining evidence to support any criminal charges against the Prime Minister. The FID told the Integrity Commission it does not carry out any investigation on a perfunctory basis. The word perfunctory is an adjective. It's used to describe an action done as a routine duty, but executed quickly, superficially, and without genuine care, interest, or enthusiasm. So what the FID has told the IC is that it does not launch investigations simply for the sake of doing so. The FID noted it had obtained some details of the Prime Minister's expenses, which were requested by the IC, but it told the IC that the information obtained is unlikely to add any significant value to the investigation into Dr. Holness's affairs. According to the FID, its decision to not initiate a formal investigation was made before the general election, which was held on September 3, 2025. The FID met with the IC on September 18, 2025, where it shared that it deliberately withheld communication about its decision until after the election so as to avoid the accusation it was attempting to influence said election. Now, in the letter sent by the FID to the IC, the FID is sharply critical of the IC's approach to its investigation into Dr. Holness's affairs. In one section of the letter, the FID says, quote, "Moreover, we have given careful consideration to the public nature of the referral. We are of the view that this approach may have been prejudicial not only to the subject of the investigation, but to the FID and potentially to the Integrity Commission itself." End quote. The FID also wrote, quote, "Please note, as a matter of course, the FID pursues very sensitive investigations, and in this particular case, we believe it was remiss of the IC not to request that the FID conduct a joint or parallel investigation around the time of the commencement of the probe, in keeping with international best practice." End quote. The FID continued, "In light of the foregoing, the FID has determined it will not initiate an investigation of the subject. The challenges in obtaining any evidence that meets the requisite standard using significant resources and time far outweigh the potential benefits of pursuing an investigation at this stage." End quote. Our sources say the Integrity Commission has since written back to the FID requesting it reconsiders its position on the Holness issue, but it's understood the FID is unlikely to respond favorably to the request. Our sources say senior investigators at the FID believe the case is not credible and are stunned at what they describe as the IC's amateur approach to the investigation. George Davis for Nationwide News.
There you have it. There you have it, listeners and chaps. Chaps Media, I put it to you, the politics of this, that Holness is going to benefit largely from this.
I agree with you, Neighbour. I think that even with the speculation and the suspicion that the IC continue to have hanging over the head of the Prime Minister and the government, they still won an unprecedented third term at the last elections. And I believe that the Jamaican people, I don't think that we should underestimate the intelligence of the Jamaican people, especially when they are informed. And I must commend programs like yours for doing exactly that. You know, instead of sitting here and arguing about what government needs to do and what party needs to do, you have taken it on to ensure that persons are so informed and educated on these matters, because, you know, there's so much a government can do. It needs people like yourself who have an audience and a platform that can point out these things to people, because it ought to be said. This is Neighbour, this is not something to joke about, you know. This
No,
is
not
a
at all.
very serious matter. It tramples on our democracy. Jamaica.
You're talking about the head of government, a prime minister of a country, sir. Yeah. I think the prime minister is going to benefit largely from this, because I don't think the Integrity Commission will have any choice but to certify the prime minister going forward. Well, I want to thank you. You hear, Chops?
But Neighbour, if they
before you go, go ahead.
If they certify the prime minister tomorrow morning, then along with that certificate ought to be their resignation.
And I think that is when the prime minister ought to move to disband this entire thing, or to bring something into parliament to make sure that this is overall. And I think that is probably what they fear.
Because part of the reason we have to have the Integrity Commission, Neighbour, and I think that it is important.
Yeah, you made that point. You made that point clear the other night. That this is not about attack on the institution. The institution itself is needed.
Yes, it's needed. It's an important part of our democracy. But at the same time, it cannot operate in the current form. It's counterproductive. It's not moving Jamaica forward, and it's actually hurting the democracy right now.
Thank you so much.
No problem, sir. All the best to you.
Boy, I tell you something, the time is moving quickly. Where are we now? 5 minutes to 9 o'clock. want to welcome all of you on X, TikTok, YouTube, Patreon, all of those who are screen recording, all of those who have us up. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to tap the screen, share the live, and join us. We have 2 pages open at this time, the Hello Neighbor Show and the Hello Neighbor Podcast. So we have 2 TikTok pages running right now, because one of them, this one here, is on a little bit of restriction. I don't know why they keep restricting this page, but there are many more people joining us on the other page because they want to be part of the conversation. Welcome to all of you, and we appreciate your joining us. Member Henriquez is joining us, but we have Scratchy and Astute still with us. Member Henriquez.
Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, neighbor. It's Caroline.
Oh, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing good, neighbor. I'm doing good. I hope everybody else is also doing just as good.
Remember, I want to reiterate a couple of questions that I put to Charles. The politicization of the Integrity Commission is a tragedy. To what extent do you lay the blame for that at the feet of the People's National Party?
Well, neighbor, the extent is unmeasurable, for very obvious reasons, right? It is not one that we have the subsequent or adequate information that I can truly measure to see how the People's National Party went ahead to infiltrate and then corrupt the outcome or potential outcome that they can weaponize something that was meant for good, which is the investigations of the Integrity Commission.
Yes.
So I would say currently it's immeasurable. And that is not me being safe, but me being measured, because I think there's a lot more left to uncover. So I'd say to our listeners tonight, stay tuned for that. I won't give much away, but when it comes, it comes.
Is it that we have a bias towards institution? Is it our low trust society, where while this was being done, it was allowed to be done? In other words, you don't think much of the civil society groups, the church, the private sector, probably a little bit more. But while the politicization was being done, why do you think that it was allowed to be done? Why didn't we catch up on it and says, no, don't do that, because this institution is too valuable for us to use it in this political way? And we suffering for that now?
Well, definitely we are suffering from it, neighbor, right? But I'll answer you in this way. The People's National Party has advised us years ago that this was a great probability, not even possibility. The probability of it happening was extremely high because they ensured that they stacked the decks, not against the Jamaica Labour Party, but the deck was stacked against the very citizens.
What do you mean stack? What do you mean stack the deck?
Neighbor, it doesn't matter. Let's say whatever hand is dealt is always in favor of the People's National Party of that time. So it doesn't matter how pretty a hand look, neighbor. Just
you can't win.
Your hand will lose.
You can't win.
Comes. And it is not you, neighbor. It is even worse than when them say the house always wins. It's worse than that.
So even if the man next play to you draw pure doubles, he might go win.
Neighbor, even if you draw 4 aces, I can tell you that how it's set up is that the winning hand across from you will be straight flush. So you can't win, right? And that is how it was set up over time, because it didn't happen in one go. And it breeds what we're seeing now.
What a fascinating
right? In
discussion
fact,
this.
it is a birth in terms of the result of that, right? So all those years of it going ahead and building, it was done in two ways. It was easy while they were in power, but they are now able to weaponize the legitimacy of the people's trust in institutions. And I'll break it down. Because the Integrity Commission had an unblemished or so-called unblemished record, Neighbour, it gives that false sense of confidence. It is almost as if failure is not in its sight. When the people looks at it, they've been getting it right thus far, but we don't know the methodology that is used to get these results. But nonetheless, we trust that it is an independent body, and I listen to the words, the independent body and an anti-corruption body. That means it should be doing its work, and it was doing its work. So we don't think they would have, been corrupt. Not that it wasn't possible, but the results spoke for itself, which gave us the false sense of trust in it. Then what they've done now is to weaponize that legitimacy, because now we're going to trust it easily, because we don't have any reasons to not trust it, right?
Yes.
And as such, failure is not in sight. But what they are able to do now is to enact or bring into the forefront now a weaponized action of that trust. So they use the same trust of the people against them. Now, what that breeds in a Neighbour is where public controversy is ahead of institutional clarity.
No. Say that again. Hold on. Say that again.
It brings forth, Neighbour,
yes,
public controversy versus the institutional clarity. Now, the institutional clarity.
You have to help us. You have to help us with that. You have to help us with that classic phrase, please. Remember, we are not university students like you, Professor. Professor Henriquez, break that down a little for us, please.
I'll break it down, Neighbour.
Yes.
So really, it refers to rules, responsibilities, and regulations, right? That's a basic aspect of it, institutional clarity. So we know if you put in A, you should get B.
Yes.
Now, what that does, Neighbour, has, I call it like an implicit contract, where we know what the outcomes should be.
Yes.
Right? We all have it in our day-to-day work. If you go to work, you're supposed to get paid. If you're sitting in a barber chair, of course you must be at the end of the trim. Now, with all of that, Neighbour, what the People's National Party has achieved through the IC is to bring forth that issue. And that is how they weaponize it.
What issue? What issue?
I'm going to bring that to you as well, Neighbour. Don't worry, it's coming.
Oh, yes.
No, the issue is whatever reports or recommendations or referrals are put out, they are able to twist and turn it for political gains. That is where the public the public controversy comes into play, because now we're left with, we are used to that institutional clarity, right? That's its core function. But now the controversy has been bred because we should be seeing certain findings like illicit enrichment and all of that. But there's no evidence to prove it. And because now there's no evidence to state that claim, to say there's, for example, illicit enrichment happening, the people now wondering what is happening. It is controversial to what your mandate is. Now, when we look at it in a Neighbour, exactly what happened with the Prime Minister challenging it in court, and the court did not push back to say the Prime Minister cannot challenge it. That even breeds more controversy for the people, because now the people are looking at it to say, if the Integrity Commission's referral recommendations and reports were so good, why didn't the court strike down the Prime Minister's case to say he doesn't have one? And the IC stands in high regards, which means they would have carried out their core functions to the best of their ability and to proper standards. The FID put that away for us in the reading from Nationwide.
Yes.
To show that it is not of best practices. So it simply means, again, we add to public controversy. Why aren't you adhering to best practices or international best practices? So we have more questions coming up now than answers that they can produce. And this is not one where silence is bliss, neighbor, right? And I don't think they can get away with it to say if they don't say anything, it's going to blow over. Not this one. Not when you have gone after the Prime Minister of a country for an entire term, because it's going 5 years now, neighbor, right? That the Prime Minister cannot be certified or has not been certified. I don't want to say cannot, has not been certified, despite there's no proof or evidence of any report that they put out, right? Now, one of the major ones that I have a problem with, neighbor, you see that $30 million that was spent?
That is the $30 million for the overseas investigator.
For the overseas investigator. That brings to me a high level, because I have no problem with the IC pursuing these investigations vigorously and you know, with intent. I commend that. That is what I want to see from them. But is the resources you're expending proportionate to how you're pursuing it? And the FID shed light on that for us, and I'll break it down for persons who may just be joining.
Yes, sir, break it for us.
What happens is that if you are in pursuit of something, if you're going to utilize more resources than what the end result can satisfy, simply means you are doing something wrong.
Say that again. Hold on.
Is wrong.
No. Say that again, please.
Which part you want me to say again, neighbor?
That sentence that you just made, that ended with wrong.
It simply means that at the end of the day, what your end result is, if you are expending or using more resources than what the end result can satisfy, it means there's something going wrong in whether it's your methodology, your operations, your end goal.
Okay, teacher, can you use an illustration so that we can understand, please?
So put it this way, neighbor.
Yeah, remember the listeners. All right, I beg you.
Yes, neighbor.
Yes.
But if you're going, we're doing manufacturing, right, neighbor?
Yes.
So if you're going to make a sweetie to beat your competitor, right? And your competitor selling it at, let's say, $2. And you want to beat it, it means you have to sell it for less.
Yes.
But in production, it is going to cost you $4 to produce a $1.50 sweetie. Then it simply means somewhere, somehow, your operation has gone bad.
Yes.
Whether that is the fact that you've been caught up in competition that let you miss the fact that you are overutilizing resources, you are misappropriating resources as well, because somewhere, somehow, in the operation, a department may be suffering. Money could be used elsewhere to properly advance the business. And in the context of the government, in this case with the IC, that what I'm saying is that $30 million could have given a nice stretch of road. That $30 million could have added to the welfare program. That $30 million could have easily added to something in institution like education.
Put on a few people roof. Put on more roof.
So help with some clinics, restoration. So many different things, neighbor. It could have gone into scholarships.
Yes.
For students. And that is what I'm saying. The IC has utilized resources that is not proportionate to the outcome. And that is people's money. That is, you can't be spending more than what you can earn. That is what I'm saying in a nutshell. And the IC has been expending far too much taxpayers' money to not give us value for money.
But and the FID is saying they will not do that.
Exactly. And moreover, neighbor, it is not for the lack of an institution that can't do the work, but you're going to outsource somebody or a team when you very much have an entire institution that does that work. So what you've gone ahead now to fit your agenda or to run with your narrative, you take away, you literally reduce the till of taxpayers' money. Money that could have added value, because I don't want people to focus on what the money is. I want to say what the value is. That is the key part here. Because I believe having an integrity commission can add value to our governance framework, to the accountability framework, right? To the integrity framework in a country that we need. But at what cost? The cost to the taxpayers?
Yeah, what a fascinating point you've just made. What a fascinating point that is. Yeah.
And when you look at it in a neighbor, right?
In other words, why are you spending so much money on just this?
On one report. And well, I don't even want to say one report, but I'm going to move from just the money. I'm going to go to another resource.
Yes.
Which is time. I'm bringing in the Andrew Wheatley want to express and to show people the time. They've been investigating this man for over 9 years. They've also done over 100 different type of investigations to come and give us inconclusive numbers, to come and give us numbers that don't match up after their reports, to also come and highlight to us that they are failing. So we're paying them to do nothing, because this is not conclusive and real evidence to say we are getting value for something. And they've done so twice, because I don't see what is the value in taking up $30 million of my hard-earned taxpayers' money, neighbor, that I give to the government to investigate my Prime Minister when an institution is already there. I don't see why I would think the Integrity Commission personnel are competent enough if they are taking over 9 years to investigate a publicly representative person. It cannot. It simply means they are using our resources, finite resources, let me put it that way, because we don't have money for waste. And the Integrity Commission has been contributing to the wastage of precious resources, because they're neither adding the value to that money, and they're also falling in the trap of this so-called bureaucracy, because to do 9 years of all of these investigations, which yes, money involved because these persons have to be paid, and you're burning up the clock, you're burning papers, which is the money, and you can't give us a proper report that is flawless. So much that you are attempting to bully the FID. Because I know how it works, neighbor. Neighbor, when we say we recommend or we are asking you to refer to it again, that's not what we're really asking. We're saying, go look on it. Me, I tell you if you go do it in layman's term. It's not asking nicely. It is just putting it in a politically correct way, how they phrase it. Anybody in corporate world and otherwise knows what those terminologies really mean. And to see that they're trying to cover it up and trying to do things, neighbor, that sinks them even more. Because what is going to happen, in terms of the controversy that is highlighted, it's a broader challenge that is going to face Jamaica's governance framework. The IC is not just hurting itself. It is putting doubts in the framework of the government that this current administration has fought tooth and nail over the last decade to implement. to try and get you to trust them again. Neighbor, we all know the saying growing up in Jamaica, we don't trust politician, every politician a thief.
Yeah, and you're saying that the IC is damaging that reputational trust in government. That is slowly being built back.
So it's a bigger picture. Exactly, neighbor. And I can tell you, it's easy to destroy than to build. And it is not even the fact that it is accidentally being destroyed. And I don't think those who are part of it, in terms of from the People's National Party side, because they are part of it, they don't have to say it. I don't.
You are saying that the IC, by its action or inaction, is damaging the reputation of the government and the trust factor in the people, already struggling 300 years of colonialism, 40 odd years of government mismanagement. Finally, the Jamaican people are beginning to trust their government. And you're saying the IC is damaging that trust.
It is. It is, neighbor, because look at it, you know. Institutions actually derive authority from public trust.
Yes.
You said it. This is not even a 50-50 matter anymore. For those who understand what the IC should stand for, those who understand governance, and those who are just getting to understand it, have lost trust in the IC, which simply means that public trust for that institution is no longer there.
Mr. Hughes says it's up to 50%. Do you really think that half of Jamaica don't trust this institution?
Let me put it this way, neighbor, and it's going to be half. Let me show it. You have 33% of Jamaicans who just don't care and don't know, right? So we'll put that aside. You then have a 40% who knows somewhat in terms of are politically inclined. And when I say politically inclined, I'm more saying politically affiliated, right? They have preference for one party or the other. And then you have those who stand by. So we were at 73%, so the other 27% is elsewhere. The bulk of it that really cares and really put their voices out there or really go to vote and so on, that is the 50-50 that we thought actually was 50-50. But the more this drags on, the more information gets out, the more we see where institutions are up against institutions, the more we see where political allegiances are being formed. Let that number grows exponentially, right? Now, what happens in a neighbor? When a significant portion of the population perceives an institution as politically selective, and I'm drawing to the election part because the IC knew what they were doing. You realize they come out and say, oh, they didn't want to publish it to have an impact on the election. Whether you publish it or not, you do have an impact. And the right thing to do is to give us what I'm going back to, the institutional clarity, because that is your mandate. So you shouldn't care about what will happen in the election. Your mandate is to put the report out there, put the truth out there.
Yeah.
And let the people perceive it to be what it is, whatever they want it to be. But you know, have contributed to the Prime Minister of 28 bank accounts and illicit enrichment and something wrong. When you keep your report to yourself or keep your mouth shut, you have just now weaponized that trust, that public trust. You've now allowed a party, because it doesn't matter who the party is, they are going to run with that, with everything they have. And so said, so done. So you have now played a direct hand, even if you never want to play a hand in it, you know. Your lack of action, your lack of carrying out your mandate, your lack of carrying out your job description and standing for the responsibility of your institution has now allowed an election to have a massive swing. So this cover up about how you didn't want to impact the election, post it. And I want to say, I'll go as far as this. I want that whatever investigation the Integrity Commission does in the future should be time sensitive.
Yes.
It should be time bound. And they should explain to us and show to us what was the budget spent. Because I'm sick and tired of us with limiting resources, having institutions burn up precious resources.
Oh
They
my
burn up
God.
money we don't have.
Yeah, that's true.
These things have to be measurable. And when it is not measurable, you get a lot of waste. Neighbor, there's a lot of waste in government overall, you know.
Already, yes.
There's so much money we can save. And when you look at this to see the money already a waste and the Prime Minister is being fought by an institution that forget their mandate. Now, when the significant portion of the population perceives the institution as politically selective, neighbor, overly aggressive, and I want people to listen to the choice of words because that's exactly what the IC did, or they're procedurally inconsistent. The FID gave us this because we know that the procedures were not of what? Best practices.
Yes.
So something that missed there. Then simply, neighbor, confidence in that institution automatically have to be weakened regardless of what the intentions of that institution was.
Yes. We have 8
So
minutes.
it doesn't matter what
Yeah. We have 8 minutes with you, Harry. Tell me now, the result of all of this. If the IC certifies, does it regain credibility?
It doesn't. It really doesn't, neighbor, because guess what? It's in the end of it, the strength of this institution is not measured in a neighbor merely by the power that it has to investigate.
So at this point, whatever the outcome
by its
is,
ability to truly convince.
Yeah, whatever the outcome
The damage
is,
has already been done.
The damage is done.
The damage is already done, neighbor, because we would have seen these investigations being done or conducted in favor, some prejudice and political bias. They have uprooted themselves. And I'm going to reiterate it, neighbor. I am all for an integrity commission institution.
Yes.
I am, however, not for the leadership that is currently there. And I'm strongly calling that they should remove themselves before the public comes and remove them. Because the day in Jamaica when we do that, and this is not, again, I have no, if the disgust reach a certain level, right? And the people demands it, because we have to look at it in a neighbor. We, the people, are being put at a disadvantage here, you know.
Yes.
Not just by the resources that is coming out of our pockets, right? But also the time frame or the time used to be speaking about these things. We could be nation building something else.
Talking about the road to Singapore, sir.
We could be contributing in a different way. Right? No. And I'm calling for it. I'm no revolutionary person, neighbor.
Well,
right? In all honesty. But I am for justice.
Yes, fairness.
I am for truth. And I am for the advancement of my country. And if that makes me revolutionary, then call me that.
Wow.
But I am saying at a point like this, in a very fickle political arena, geopolitical sphere.
Yes, I remember.
Right? And in a downtime, and I'm being nice when I said downtime, because I'm not looking at losing 56% of our GDP likely. Right? But in a matter of time like this, neighbor, I don't think we should have been worried about what these institutions are doing. They should have been performing. And I also want to add to it that these institutions should get a quarterly review. Is it just like when a company is on the stock market, they live quarter to quarter, neighbor?
Yes, sir.
I want that from these institutions. I am advocating for that because I want to know how my money I go.
Yeah.
I want to know what they're doing with it. I also want to know, neighbor, what influence they're going to have on the government. Because from what we've seen, no. It simply means that the IC can have a choice if they want to negatively paint a government and its elected members.
So remember, the Prime Minister has all but said, I have no confidence in this institution. Well, the people there. Why haven't we seen some resignations coming out?
Neighbor, that don't happen in Jamaica. Our culture different. You see, other countries, they just want to hear allegations and the person step down. We don't have that cultural discipline. And when I'm saying it, I'm saying for those persons in those positions. We don't have that level of discipline. And it's sad.
Do you think that
it genuinely is sad, neighbor?
Yeah. Do you think that the people of Jamaica, Harry, are of interest in this matter to the extent that they would do as you have suggested, that they would, by action, peaceful, demand from the Integrity Commission that the matter be brought to an end? Do you think we are that minded?
We're still very individualistic, neighbor. You see, as long as it don't fall at our doorstep and we can survive it, or bear the illusion of surviving it, we don't have that togetherness to revolt and to stand. Well, let me not revolt, to stand for what we believe in, right? And that is a problem. But that in itself, neighbor, also takes trust.
But what would you
that
call?
has hurt the trust.
Yeah, what would you call for, though, Harry, at this point, 27 minutes after 9 o'clock on this Tuesday? What would you call for, based on the evidence before you? You are a man that understands these things.
In chronological order, neighbor, I will call for an official statement to the public from the leadership team, not just the head, from the leadership team of the IC, to give us the clarity as to what has transpired over those years. Because this is our Prime Minister. And Andrew Holness is not Prime Minister for some and not for some. It doesn't matter. He's ruling over Jamaica.
Yes.
So I don't care whether you're P or J, you're undecided or not. He is Jamaica's Prime Minister.
Yes.
Any decision he makes is for Jamaica. Wherever he goes, he represents Jamaica. And I think the Integrity Commission has to come out and give us the clarity, set the record straight.
Yes.
If I want to say so. Right? And then, when that record is set straight, I want the conscience, right? That inner policeman that everybody has. Because when you have guilt, that's the inner policeman of yourself. I want those persons of the leadership team to walk away. I can't say if they walk away, their head held high, but walk away. I am always of the belief, neighbor, and this goes deeply for me in personal life. If I realize that there's someone or something that is better suited to carry out the task than I can, I walk away. That is my belief. If I can no longer advance something and maybe an inhibitor to the growth of that said thing, I will always yield to my limitations.
Yield
and leave.
Yeah.
And far too long, these persons know they aren't competent enough, neighbor. They know. But you see, all who want advance in political careers, those who want them political party to be in power, and those who want the money, because the IC get good money.
Oh, yes.
Those three things keep them there. And they can say what they want,
Yes, speak to the Prime Minister himself, Harry. A good Prime Minister, a performing Prime Minister, man that has given himself to the benefit of Jamaica, has really done well led us through COVID. He's now leading us through Melissa, has represented the country very well. He's been treated unfairly.
He has been, Neighbour. He definitely has been, and he knows it wholeheartedly. And it's a sad thing to know that there's no claim and nothing against you as to why you aren't supposed to be held in the high standard that the rest of Jamaica does. Why this institution can't see it the same way, despite they have more than enough evidence. But for him, Neighbour, I will tell him to not get distracted. He has good lawyers. He has taken it to the court. I will tell him to keep the faith. Don't lose hope in Jamaican people. Don't lose hope in institutions like this, because it's a people problem, not an institution problem. It's a people problem. And when he gets a chance, because the chance will come, clean house. And don't clean house because of he was a part of the issue from a personal level.
Fix it.
But clean house because it sets the bar for those to come. It plants a seed for the tree that will grow for the next government individuals to come that will rule over his success. It also, Neighbour, adds to him and his character as a human being, that he's more than just a decent man and not let personal thing gets in the way. And finally, he needs to remember the people has given him a third mandate, and he has to fight hard to deliver this one, because he has been dealt a bad hand, but not an impossible one that we can't recover. He has done it with COVID. He has done it in 2016 as well. We've gone through burial. And I think he can bring it home again and to continue work, because the reward of doing good work is more work. And I know he knows that very well, Neighbour.
What about the many bloggers online who continue to spread this false narrative, as the DPP said, perception? What would you say to them?
Well, to start off, Neighbour, election is not until the next 4.5 years. Keep blogging. You will run out of steam. You'll run out of lies to tell. And more importantly, you'll have to remember all of the lies you told. Because guess what? You're operating in a space where it's just a quick search as to your very own words coming back to bite you where it matters most. And they know themselves. I don't need to call their name. I'm not giving any one of them credit. But best believe that story must come to bump, Neighbour. Everything that is said, the light will be shone back at them, and now it will be moved from the political space to know that this person does not have the character that I even want to do business with. And a lot of these persons will suffer from that in a personal, business and personal way. Because if I can't trust you for what you put out in the public, then I can't trust doing business with you. I can't trust having any form of relationship with you.
In other words, they are all losing credibility.
Neighbour, then again, a lot of them, you can't lose what you don't have for some of them in a neighbour.
They never have it.
They never have it. But I want to say to them, from a patriotic standpoint, pull up your socks, clean up your folly ground. The intellectual disingenuous ones then that I'm speaking of specifically, because I can't speak to the ones who don't know better, in all honesty. But the ones who have the direct intent and know what they're doing. This is a reflection of you, of your entire tribe, if I want to say so. Everything that comes from you will be judged by your standard.
Yes.
So they have to think about that. Because remember, neighbor, we're only here for a short time. In 100 years, nobody will remember us individually, but they'll remember what came from you. And if that is what they want the world to remember them by, then it says something about their character.
Remember, I tell you.
everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong.
Stand up for your rights.
Stand up for your rights. When you hear the bell, stand up for justice. Hear the freedom bell. Remember us the man he served you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
Well, thank you so much, my friends from the Labour Party, for always giving me that song to play. They sponsor it. Great. We're going to open the lines now. Astute is with us. Harry is with us. And we're going to give the listeners the next half hour from the program. By the way, thank you so much if you're listening on YouTube, TikTok, Patreon, X. Welcome. We're here every night, 7 o'clock, Monday to Friday. If you want us to be here tomorrow, you can chip in and sponsor the program. Our Zelle account is 954-635-8732. Please, you want us to be on tomorrow? Then chip in and send a contribution to help us with tomorrow's program. 954-635-8732. Once again, the Zelle account is 954-635-8732. We also have Cash App, and the moderators are going to post that in the chat right now. If you're on YouTube, it's going across your screen, and we are going to play this again.
Equal rights and justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights when you hear the bell. Stand up for justice. Hear the freedom bell. Remember us the man he served you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
All right, comrades, the Mamado, the comrades, the Mamado. Comrades, the Mamado. Oh Lord, the comrades, Mamado. Anyway, let's go to the callers and see what they have to say. Good evening to you, caller. Endurance 222, you are first. Good evening. Good evening. No, not there. Please, let's do this as quickly as we can. And no, we don't have that caller. Callers time. Let's hear from the callers. We want to hear from the callers to see what is on their mind. I want the callers to come up. So let's hear from the callers. Callers, come on up and let's hear from you. Moderators, tell me what's happening. Do we have callers, or do I just leave that and go to Astute? Tell me what to do.
Neighbor?
Uh-huh.
No, we don't have any callers.
We don't? Okay. All right. I don't know. I'm having so much over on my end, so I'm not so sure what's happening. Anyway, Astute.
I'm here, neighbor. I'm here.
Well, you heard the lovely opinions of Member Harry. What have you to say?
Yes, neighbor. I echo the same sentiments. I remember earlier you were asking Chops Media about the press leaking information that was not formally put forward by the agency. But neighbor, I want to remind you that a part of any democracy a independent media / press is essential. They consider it the fourth estate.
Yes.
So you have the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, and the media.
Yes.
Now, the media exists to protect the public from the abuse of power by ensuring transparency, accountability, and to inform the citizenry of any country. So essentially, they act as a watchdog to ensure that people who hold unfettered power doesn't allow that power to get to their heads.
Yes.
So even you, neighbor, as a person with this platform, you are a part of that fourth estate.
Am I really?
And most definitely.
Uh-oh.
And being a part of that fourth estate enshrines you with a mandate.
Is that so?
Most definitely.
Huh.
And that mandate is to dispel disinformation, to correct misinformation,
yes,
and to rubbish propaganda spinning.
Uh-huh.
So it is important that we do not pay any mind to people who might want to change the narrative to say, oh, how is it that this media entity how is it that the only media entity to have this letter is Nationwide News? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that is what journalists do, you know.
Worldwide. Any democracy.
Yeah.
Worldwide. So it is important to state that. And as Harry stated as well, it makes no sense if you're a part of an entity and you can't find $1. You have to spend $1,000 to find $1. That makes no sense.
Right.
The expected outcome is not justified with the investment. So the rate of return on your investment is negative.
Yes.
That makes no sense. So neighbor, as we are here today, and as I echo the points of Harry, the points of how public trust depends on the competency and the viability of public agencies, how we as people, in order for us to feel like we're living in a particular state of being, whether it is good or bad.
Yeah, I like what he said though, that Jamaica was regaining trust in government. And that is a positive, and that the IC by its action or inaction is causing that trust to be eroded. What a tragedy.
Most definitely. And neighbor, I want to point out, because I don't think we fully grasp and understand the fallout that poor governance has, So for example, I want to just touch on one thing. I'm not going to touch on everything. He was giving some percentages, 33%, 40%, and 27%. And we talk about political apathy, voter suppression, voter apathy. Those things are bred because there were days when the People's National Party used to come to Parliament and all people were hearing is wage freeze, tax increases. People lost interest in government and governance. So people developed this apathy around government, around a distrust as a result of the plethora of scandals.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And now, even though the most honorable Andrew Holness is trying to change that narrative, he's trying to reframe that, it is hard because people are going to look at to say, because people can only use what has happened before and extrapolate to say what may happen in times to come.
Yes.
Unless they see different. So even though the Prime Minister is doing everything in his power, the obstructionists who keep presenting contradictory information, which is disinformation, is doing the nation a disservice, its citizenry a disservice, and themselves a disservice. Because remember, neighbor, it's not only we're living in a globalized society, we're not insular, we're not separate people from the world. Remember the Prime Minister, he said is him take we off of the menu.
Yeah.
We are not insular individuals in this world. We are part of a community, a global community. And if the king's opposition continues to come forward and present the government as an incompetent one, then how will world and other state agencies want to have any form of relationship with our country? It is extremely damaging to us. So again, we see that the PNP serves no purpose to this country, whether in governance or in opposition. Neighbor, it is so important. It is so important. And I'll reiterate this. I always make it my point of duty to say this. It is important for each and every one of us as citizens of this great nation, because I can tell anybody this. Jamaica is a great place. There's nowhere in this world like Jamaica.
Yes.
It behooves us as citizens of this great country, people who claim to love this country, to do everything in their power to ensure that we continue on this upward trajectory. I know that because of the nature of our politics, we're tribal, so it's either we're JLP or we're PNP. But I want to say, remember, we're first Jamaicans, because it doesn't matter. When you travel the world, people don't ask if you're PNP or JLP. They say, oh, you're a Jamaican.
Yes.
Oh, I love Jamaica. So first and foremost, we're Jamaicans. And it is our right and our duty to ensure that we preserve the image of our country in a positive way. We as a nation, as a country, are living in unprecedented times since independence. And I now see, there is no doubt, not an ounce, not an iota of doubt in my mind, that we will become among the greatest nations in this world.
What you saying to me?
If we cut, almost definitely. Neighbor, you see, I'm a man who deal with numbers on a daily basis, you know.
Well,
based on what I do.
Yes.
And when I say to you, neighbor, that the turnaround of this country in a time, it has turned around in an unprecedented low time. Because when we talk about Melissa, we have never experienced that in our history. When we talk about COVID, the world, since the world was created, has never experienced a COVID. Yet still, when the grass was green and the landscape was ripe for progress, we experienced a domestic financial crisis.
Problem.
Yet still in this time,
yes,
in a mere 10 years, we are experiencing unprecedented times. I am just imagining how much more we'll be able to accomplish as we grow. We are now able to build roads from our own money. We never go to no multilateral lending agency.
Fantastic.
Neighbor, again, and I'll implore each and every individual that can hear my voice. It is not our duties to come here every night and to just lip service and talk, and we learn and we move away with new knowledge and we just sit on our laurels, but to go out there and feel purpose-driven to push the mandate of our Prime Minister, Vision 2030, a place where we can live, grow, retire, raise kids, and have businesses. And I end there.
Well, before we close, the ambassador nominee for Jamaica, Carrie Lake, she had this to say about helping Jamaica. We will take this up.
Help Jamaica. As Ms. Lake, what can you tell us about your take on the best way to help Jamaica? As ambassador confirmed, you intend to focus more on aid or on lifting trade burdens, on increasing economic opportunities for the island?
Thank you, Senator Lee, for that question. I think it's if confirmed, we're going to look at everything. We're going to hit the ground running and look at ways to expand American business opportunities and try to level the playing field, because right now, as we know, when we're competing with for a contract or a tender with the CCP or CCP controlled company, oftentimes they'll underbid the United States. We want to make sure that we're working with Jamaica to make sure that there's a level playing field so that American businesses have a real shot to do great work. We know that we provide better quality work. We hire Jamaicans, and we want to make sure that we're assisting and also allowing for American companies to expand. I think there's big companies that could help right now. There's a huge need as they're rebuilding after this Category 5, which devastated, especially the southern and western part of the island. And if we don't take an active approach to getting American companies in to bid and get some of these big purchases and big jobs, we're going to see the vacuum filled by more Chinese influence in that country. And that's concerning to me. I think it's concerning to both sides of the aisle when it comes to what China has done and their influence so close to home.
We've seen that all over this hemisphere, in many parts of Central and South America. China gaining footholds, putting a base in Argentina, for example, a lot of increased ties with Brazil, with the current government in Colombia, just to name a few. I would imagine that adding Jamaica to the list, securing significant foothold in Jamaica would be a huge feather in the cap for the CCP folk who really want a massive inroad at the doorstep of continental United States of America. What do you think that is the best antidote to that, and how can you work with the Jamaican government to discourage that from happening?
Yes, right now the Chinese have a massive stake in one of the key ports in Kingston. I think they have a 49% control over it, and that puts us at risk. And so we need to rebalance things and work with the Jamaican government on that. And, not just big businesses, there's small businesses as well. I love this story. We all know that Jamaica has incredible athletes. They dominate in track and field and in gold medals. The fastest man in the world, Usain Bolt. I mean, we all watched to see wowed the world. But they're one of the only tropical climates that also has a winter Olympic team in their bobsled. And actually, a company in Utah, backcountry, does the outfitting for that team, the Jamaican bobsled team, which I think is very cool. I mean, we definitely want big projects, but we want to encourage all kinds of American businesses to invest in Jamaica and Jamaicans to invest in America as well. You can buy a lot of things in Jamaica. You can show up and not have swim trunks, and you can purchase those. You can purchase beach towels, whatever you need, shorts and shirts, but you cannot purchase winter parkas in Jamaica. And
I would imagine it would have limited utility in Jamaica.
It would. You just don't need it. So I think there's a real opportunity to work with our partners, our neighbors. Jamaica, an incredible country, and I'm looking forward to it.
There's a growing sense that gang violence is becoming more of a problem throughout the Caribbean, and the growing concern that some of this is a spillover effect from Haiti, which has been really had a big problem with gang violence. Any thoughts on how best the United States can work with Jamaica in order to bring that problem under control?
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for mentioning Haiti. I know that not only is the United States taking an active role with the gang suppression force down there, but Jamaica is as well. Jamaica has some very talented individuals that are on the ground. I think the second in command, from what I understand, in this gang suppression activity that's happening and the work to stabilize Haiti is a Jamaican. So it's in Jamaica's interest. It's in the United States' interest. It's really in the Caribbean interest to make sure that we can solve some of the serious problems in Haiti, and we'll be focusing on that if confirmed.
Remind me again, you and I have talked about this in the past, and you may have talked about it more while I stepped out to vote. You've had this ongoing relationship with Jamaica. I haven't met many ambassadorial nominees who have been to that country nearly as many times as you have. Tell me how that came about. Remind me why you feel so strongly about this country.
Well, growing up in Iowa, I never had a chance to do vacation in a big family. If we did vacation, it was camping somewhere with a short drive, or going to visit grandparents. And
as one of 7 children, I know that's real.
Yes, the car trips were an experience, especially with 9 car sick kids. So the first time I got to see the ocean, I saved money and flew to Jamaica. It was the first ocean I ever saw. I got spoiled. That's a great ocean to see, the Caribbean Ocean. And we just kept going back. It's a great, the beaches are great. My family and I, our kids are big swimmers. We like to swim in the ocean. We like to cliff jump, and there's some great cliff jumping in Westmoreland Parish. But mostly we just love the people. There's a feeling you get when you're in Jamaica, the spirit of the people. They love their country. They're so proud to be Jamaican. It reminds me of the patriotic pride I carry in my heart for this great country, America, where our opportunities are so great. And I'm glad to see that things are looking up. I know that as they continue to rebuild after this devastating, catastrophic hurricane, I think they're going to pull themselves out of this, and bright days are ahead for Jamaica.
Well, they are.
There you are. The nominee, Carrie Lee. Bright days are ahead for Jamaica. And the United States, our largest trading partner, we have some people here in Jamaica talking foolishness about this third country national MOU, and they are not listening nor understanding what it is that is happening. Jamaica is going to be shining. Did you hear the nominee saying that the large construction projects that are about to happen in Jamaica, that the Americans are going to bid for some of them? Did you hear that? My goodness. What a fascinating period we're going to get into as a country when America is wanting to partner with us to build back our country, and they are talking about big contracts that American firms are going to bid on. And we here in Jamaica talking about few little people that are going to be transitioning through our country. That is causing our problem. We're not talking about the real issues. Boss lady, good night to you. Hello? No, she's not there. Boss lady, 72? No. All right. Fascinating stuff from Carrie Lee, the ambassador nominee for Jamaica. Member Harry?
Yes, neighbor.
What you make of that that conversation there in the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee?
Neighbor, for me, I'm more on the reserve side. I want to see the actions. I don't want the big, nice, fun meetings. I want to see the bids placed. I want to see the tangibles of the relationship with us and the US again, because the truth is they've been somewhat dormant in the Caribbean and Latin America, to be honest. And it spells good news that we may now strengthen the relationship again, but of course not solely to the US. I want people to get that as well, because I know a lot of persons will be a little weary. They will also, eyebrows will be raised, and to think that we are only going to have relationship with just the US and so on. No, we're in a whole different political space. The Prime Minister spoke to that, so I don't need to go into it. But I'm welcoming the strengthening of the bond. I'm also welcoming the development, because we can learn so much when it comes on to infrastructure with the US. Of course, this also means tourism being boosted in terms of the numbers from the US as well, neighbor. And one of the most important things for me is the intelligence that we can get when it comes on to crime fighting. That for me is probably one of the biggest factor, because I want to see the crime numbers go down even further.
Yes.
And I know the US, when you have a good relationship with them, you can utilize it. You can actually have a great outcome that helps your nation. So whether that is to share intelligence as to operations, whether that is to also give us military training, which is one of the major things, and also Neighbour, with the strengthening of this bond, you see this whole structured program that the Prime Minister is looking into and our remarks have proposed, that will help us massively, because I don't think people understand that we can use our employed individuals, put them on a structured program, they spend some time in the US, they earn the US currency, they come back home, they spend it, they can also give us, impart the knowledge that they've also learned based on the practices there, and as such we can use that to build our Jamaica, get us to the road to Singapore. We don't have to totally rely on remittances per se. We're now importing knowledge, we're importing best practices, we're importing techniques that first world countries are using, Neighbour, and I think that will strengthen Jamaica beyond our imagination.
Fascinating. Want to thank you so much, member, and astute Scratchy joined us earlier, and also Chops Media. Member Harry, please close us out and wish our listeners a great night.
It's always good to have our listeners, Neighbour. I seen the numbers grow. I was surprised when I see certain numbers. I don't have to call them, right? But I'm happy to see that we're reaching more and more people every night. They turn up, they turn out. Comment section hot, Neighbour.
Oh.
And I just want to say I'm very appreciative. The Politics Plus Network team is appreciative of the presence that we have, the community that we have built and are building,
yes,
as we expand even further, and the strength, Neighbour, the relationship we have with our diaspora. I'm loving it, because if I'm not mistaken, Neighbour, the diaspora probably take over the program.
Well, is that so? But, well, thank you.
Neighbour, diaspora following big man. Big.
Yes.
So,
as a matter of fact, all the way in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, they're all over the place.
Look at that, Neighbour. I'm just waiting to hear somebody call in from Antarctica one night in a Neighbour.
Yes. Oh yes. Absolutely. Fantastic. Yeah. And the X platform is growing to Harry. Great. Nice.
Yes, Neighbour, that has I'm actually impressed. I have to big up listeners, sorry, but I have to big up Shefreen and Caroline and the moderators, them, Neighbour. They're working assiduously, and we're seeing the outcome.
Thank you, Shefreen.
And it's not an easy thing to do. Definitely not an easy thing to do, but we appreciate and we love them, Neighbour.
Yes.
Now, for our listeners, I hope everybody have a great night. We'll be back here tomorrow, God's willing, at 7 p.m. We're breaking news again. We'll be breaking down information down to bits and pieces, so no one gets left behind. It doesn't matter where you're from, what color you are, what you think you can understand. We have every and any person here to break it down, so you can walk away feeling empowered and to say, yes, I did learn this on the Hello Neighbour show from Politics Plus Network. So again, hope everybody have a great rest of night. We love you, we respect you, and thanks for coming out each and every night again. I will see you again tomorrow. YouTube, love you, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everybody know the thing.
Equal rights and justice is our everlasting song. Unity and progress will make our nation strong. Stand up for your rights when you hear the bell. Stand up for justice, hear the freedom bell. Remember, Master Man, he served you well. Stand up, Jamaicans, when you hear the bell.
Thank you so much, my friend Bigfoot. I see you watching, man. Bigfoot, how you doing, sir? Bigfoot, man. Nice to have you. Well, that was courtesy of my friends in the Jamaica Labour Party. Shefreen on YouTube and my YouTube friends, have a great night. Catch you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Take care.